Feilu Novel Network exclusive contract novel. Siheyuan. Report to the police at the beginning and arrest Jia Zhang's family. Traverse through the Siheyuan and become a resident inside. At the beginning, I encountered this guy who came to my own house to force buying and selling. Alarm, no one can run. For the morally upright Yi Zhonghai, as well as the official fan Liu Haizhong, the sharp and sarcastic Jia Zhang family, the thief holy stick meme, the white lotus Qinhuai RuPack everything up one by one, want to beg for mercy. Get out of here. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Crossing the Courtyard. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Chapter 1 Crossing the Courtyard in 1960, 49 cities in a room in a courtyard. Oh. My head hurts so much. What's wrong with me? Su Huigua shook his head, slowly opened his eyes, and looked at the unfamiliar scene before him, feeling a bit confused. He didn't even know where he was. Didn't I engage in technology engineering yesterday? I am a super engineer, why did I come to such a place in a daze? Su Huigua appeared very depressed. Immediately, a wave of information quickly entered his mind, making him feel quite speechless after digesting it. He never imagined that he had actually crossed over, and even crossed over to the courtyard filled with tears. There is not a single person in this courtyard who is good. He also has some understanding of this person who is full of courtyard houses. After all, he has also watched this TV drama in this courtyard. There are dozens of households living. This is divided into 3 courtyards. Front, middle, and back. In each courtyard, there lived one old man named Yi Zhonghai, 2 old men named Liu Haizhong, and 3 old men named Bugui. Yi Zhonghai is not a good person, although sometimes he is particularly willing to help others, he is not willing to help in vain. But it's purposeful because he always wants someone to provide him with retirement. At the same time, he is also very good at moral kidnapping, so this Yi Zhonghai is not a good person. Liu Haizhong, on the other hand, is a true official fan. He dreams of becoming an official, and his tone of voice also carries an official accent, making people feel quite speechless. There he was, his family was in a mess, always wanting to take his sons seriously and make them grateful. The end result was predictable. Bugui is good at meticulous budgeting, but in fact, it's not a big deal. In this era, people's living standards are not very good. But this kind of behavior is the least promising, a small favor can be used to benefit them. And the Qinhuai RuPack family, especially Jia Zhang, this old lady is not a good person. She is selfish, and Jia Dongxu, like that old lady, is also not a good person. At first, Qinhuai RuPack was fine, but later she turned black directly. Their son, Bang Ji, also knows how to steal things since he was young. If this continues, it will eventually become a commodity to enter. Su Dumao is not a good person either. He is very cunning and specializes in doing things that harm others and benefit himself. Silly Zhu is the same. Whenever it's a matter of Qinhuai RuPack's family, he will help. As for the others, he doesn't even glance at them. This is the situation of my own courtyard house. Su Huigua shook his head, and he realized that his predecessor was seriously ill and no longer functional, so he crossed over to him. This made him even more speechless. Immediately, Su Huigua also thought that the technology of this predecessor was quite good. Now he is a level 5 fitter, and his salary should be at least 60 yuan per month. It's still very good in this era. At the same time, his predecessor was still the son of a martyr and had a beautiful wife, but I don't know what was going on. Just got married and didn't have a wedding, so he suddenly fell seriously ill. It's really many people thought it was his wife who killed them. However, at this moment, the sound of the system quickly rang out. Keep an eye on it. Congratulations to the host for crossing to the courtyard. The check.In system has been officially activated. Stay tuned, congratulations on the host's comprehensive recovery. Stare, congratulations to the host for obtaining the strong body technique, 1 ring space, and 500 yuan in cash. Upon hearing the sound of the system, Su Huiguo was immediately surprised. The reward seemed really good, as he had received such a rich variety of things. It seems that the system is still very good for oneself, and with the system, he is not afraid of anything in this era. Immediately, Su Huiguo used the strong body technique, and in an instant, he felt as if his whole body was filled with strength. This made him feel quite satisfied. Never mind, since I've traveled here, let's settle down as soon as I come. I don't know how my wife looks. Su Huiguo stretched lazily and wanted to get up. But at that moment, suddenly a noisy sound came to mind outside, which made him furrow his brow slightly. Who is making noise in their own lobby? Meanwhile, outside, Li Qian, we all feel very sad about your man, but please have a moment of mourning. And don't waste too much money on him either. That's right, he's hopeless. Why be so persistent? Look, you don't have much savings at home now. Even if your man has a high salary in front of him, he hasn't had much medication for a month. So, don't go save him anymore, it's too wasteful and expensive. An old man and others kept persuading Li Qian, as if wanting her to give up, don't even talk anymore. Although my man is seriously ill, if he still has one breath, I will save him. Even if it means losing everything, what's wrong? Li Qian stubbornly said. After all, she has already married Su Huiguo, so she absolutely cannot just watch her man leave like this. And she was also a bit afraid inside, because some people secretly said that they were the ones who controlled her. If it were to be spread, then how would she live in the future? In this era, reputation is still very important. Upon hearing Li Qian's words, Su Huiguo was slightly surprised. The girls of this era seem to be really good. If it were placed in the future, he wouldn't even dare to imagine whether there were such girls left. For a while, he still had a slight liking for this girl. Kind advice to you, just keep going. I don't think anyone should advise her anymore. By the way, isn't she very short of money? She still has a lot of things at home, such as cabinets and sewing machines, which can be sold for money. Jia Zhang said with a radiant expression on her face. In fact, she scolds her the most in mainland China, and those words are as vicious as they are. The most important thing is that she constantly instigates the people in the yard to stay away from Li Qian's home, asking them not to help their family, but to help their own family more. This dead old lady. Chapter 2, Stop It All. Li Qian will report to the police. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2, Stop It All. Li Qian will report to the police. Upon hearing this voice, Su Huiguo knew it was Jia Zhang. In this courtyard, what she said was the most unpleasant. At this moment, Jia Zhang greedily said again. Our Jia family happens to be missing a cabinet, and I think that cabinet is still very new, so I plan to pay for it. Li Qian, I'll give you 2 yuan, and this cabinet is mine. After she finished speaking, she didn't care about the others and immediately ran to the cabinet with a smile on her face. She has long been interested in this cabinet. After all, Li Qian's family used to be very wealthy, and many of their things were new. If it weren't for Su Huiguo's serious illness, their family wouldn't have fallen into such a state of poverty. Everyone looked speechless when they saw Jia Zhang's appearance. This Jia Zhang family is also too ruthless. You should know that this cabinet is still so new. If she were to sell it directly outside, she could at least sell it for a little over 20 yuan. She's so lucky, how could she want this cabinet for 2 yuan? Dongxu, Huiru, what are you two looking at? Come and help lift it out. Jia Zhang couldn't help but shout when she saw that the two of them were not moving at all. Oh. Okay. Although Jia Dongxu also feels that his mother is too cruel in his heart, and has not yet obtained the consent of others, is he planning to buy and sell like this? However, he still ran over, silly Zhu, go help me. As a woman, I do have some. Qinhuai originally wanted to walk over, but suddenly she thought of another licking dog, right? So she looked at silly Zhu. Great. Upon hearing this, silly Zhu immediately became excited. You should know that he has long been very salivating for Qinhuai and has been supporting her body, so she called for help, and he must have helped. At this point, many people realized it. Especially the second uncle's bangs, he is now anxious. Hey, Jia Zhang, is this not very kind of you to do? You want to buy this cabinet for only 2 yuan. I'm offering 3 yuan now. Liu Haizhong immediately said. That's right, I'll give you 5 yuan. Su Damao suddenly screamed. He was still very interested in this cabinet. Although he also had it at home, he could make a lot of money by selling it. Upon hearing their words, Jia Zhang was immediately displeased and shouted out. What are you doing? Don't you know that this cabinet was the one I first saw? So don't you compete with me. Silly Zhu, Dongxu, hurry up and move out. Qinhuai, please give Li Qian 2 yuan immediately. Suddenly speechless, this Jia Zhang family's face is really thick enough. Aunt Jia, what are you doing? Are you playing pranks with us here? The prices we offer are higher than yours. And Li Qian hasn't spoken yet. The second uncle said with an iron black face in his bangs. His home is very short of a cabinet, so he also wants it. Li Qian definitely agrees. She is currently very short of money and is treating her dead man's illness, and this is what we paid first. Don't say so much nonsense here. Jia Zhang looked at Li Qian with a disdainful expression on her face. She was just a broom, and she had just moved in. She was definitely not afraid of Li Qian. Give me the money. After Jia Zhang finished speaking, she looked at Qinhuai on one side. Qinhuai quickly took out 2 yuan and handed it to Li Qian, but Li Qian's face looked very cold. This is too bullying. I haven't agreed yet, so this family is carrying their own cabinets and moving them out. Is this simply a bandit? But she's a girl's family, she doesn't know what to do either. Meanwhile, she has been living here for some time and knows who the people here are. A group of people who know how to hit a rock in a well. If you have money, they will flatter you. If your family is unlucky, then immediately, she looked at Grandpa Yi Zhonghai and wanted him to help her say something, but the old man actually fell silent. It seems that she has accepted it as average, which makes her heart even more sad. Move away. Jia Zhang saw that Li Qian was silent and immediately shouted loudly. However, at this moment, Su Huigua finally couldn't bear to watch anymore. He didn't expect these beasts to be so despicable. So many people, how could they make things difficult for their wives? This is not bad. Especially the Jia Zhang family, who came to their house to forcibly buy and sell. What's the difference between this and bandits? Immediately, he walked out. Sure enough, he found a large group of people at his home and immediately let out a roar. Stop it all for me, who dares to force buying and selling in my home? As his words fell, the originally noisy crowd instantly quieted down, and everyone looked at Su Huigua incredulously. Su Huigua. Aren't you seriously ill? How did you come out? The third master Yan Bugui said in shock. Who said I'm seriously ill? Actually, I've been much better lately, just a little drowsy. Alright. You guys came to my house to grab something while I was critically ill. I'm tired of living with you. Su Huigua said coldly. Everyone frowned slightly, they didn't expect that Su Huigua had actually recovered. What's going on? And it seems that his mental condition is still very good. Hey. Kid. We just paid 2 yuan. You can take it to see a doctor. Don't thank our Jia family anymore. Jia Zhang and others carried the cabinets and prepared to go out. So she wasn't willing to move back, is that right? Jia Zhang, don't you think about it. How much does this cabinet cost? Do you think of 2 yuan to buy it? I don't know what you think. And you also bullied my good wife at home. I'll calculate this with you properly. Su Huiguo looked at Jia and Zhang with indifference. What do you want? Jia Zhang said, feeling a bit uneasy inside. He didn't know what Su Huiguo wanted to do. What do I want? Of course I called the police. Qian, you go to the police right away and tell me that someone is breaking into our house and forcing us to buy and sell. It's like a bandit. Chapter 3. Fake Yi Zhonghai. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 3 Fake Yi Zhonghai. Yes, I'll go now. At this moment, when Li Qian heard Su Huiguo's words, she realized that she had just been shocked. Because she's giving up a bit in her heart. After all, it has been treated for so long, and I didn't expect Su Huiguo to surprisingly, it's better. This is amazing. The others were shocked and they heard Su Huiguo's words. They didn't expect Su Huiguo to report to the police. The old man on one side, Yi Zhonghai, finally couldn't sit still. Su Huiguo, don't call the police. This is just a small matter, why call the police? Let's solve the problem in our yard. Yi Zhonghai quickly said. In his eyes, this is just a small matter today. If he were to report it to the police, it would be a big deal. The Jia Zhang family is definitely unlucky. But this is not what he wants to see, because Jia Dongxu is his disciple and he already sees him as the object of his retirement. So he definitely doesn't want to see anything happen to their family. A small matter. Grandpa, you finally spoke up and stopped pretending to be dead. Actually, I've been listening inside for a long time. When my daughter.in.law was bullied by them just now, why didn't you come out and help her say a word? Now when I said, report to the police, did you speak up? Su Huiguo let out a cold snort. This Yi Zhonghai naturally stands on the side of the Jia family, after all, Jia Dongxu is his disciple, this. Upon hearing Su Huiguo's words, Yi Zhonghai was speechless. He didn't actually say a word for Li Qian just now, what is this? This. Li Qian, you go to the police immediately. Today's matter cannot be just settled like this. Su Huiguo ignored Yi Zhonghai and said to Li Qian again. Okay. Li Qian nodded. She had already had enough of the indifference of these people, so she ran out, which surprised many people. They really want to call the police. However, more people seem to be a bit gloating, and this Jia family is going to be unlucky. Some people still dislike their Jia family. Just like before, I don't care about how others feel, and I actually force buying and selling. This is almost like a bandit. Jia Zhang and others panicked and they saw that Li Qian was really going to report to the police. What should I do? Mom. Jia Dongxu was originally an indecisive person who always knew how to dodge things. At this moment, he was already completely disoriented. What are you afraid of? We just paid. Although Jia Zhang was very uneasy, she still pretended to calm down. It seems like I brought back the money again. Jia Dongxu said with a mournful expression on his face. He just saw that Li Qian didn't take the money at all. The money was caught on the ground, so he picked it up while no one was paying attention. Grandpa. Upon hearing the words of the two of them, Qinhuai face immediately turned black. This pair of pigs are friends, so she can only look at Yi Zhonghai. But before Yi Zhonghai could speak, Silly Zhu shouted. Su Huiguo, you despicable thing, you're going to report to the police. Believe it or not, I'll beat you up now. Silly Zhu felt heartbroken when he saw Qinhuai's pitiful appearance. So he glared angrily at Su Huiguo. Really? Can you give it a try? Su Huiguo looked at silly Zhu with a disdainful expression. Although he was the first god of war in the courtyard, in his own eyes, he was really nothing. If he takes action, I will definitely give him an unforgettable lesson. You. Silly Zhu rolled up his sleeves and wanted to rush over, but was stopped by Yi Zhonghai. Pillar, stop it. After speaking, he looked at Su Huiguo again and said seriously. Su Huiguo, you have gone too far. If there is anything that cannot be discussed properly, we can also hold a general meeting of the entire court. And don't you want to stand on the opposite side of all of us? Upon hearing these words, Su Huiguo couldn't help but feel delighted. This Yi Zhonghai truly deserves to be an old man, yet he still wants to sow discord. But he would be afraid. What are the abilities of the people in this courtyard? Although he is an elder in this courtyard, he is not even an official outside. I am truly a master, so eloquent. Ladies and gentlemen, you have also seen what happened today. They came to my house, forced buying and selling. If it happened to you, what would you think? So today's matter cannot be calculated like this. After Su Huiguo finished speaking, he completely ignored Yi Zhonghai and looked at Jia Zhang and others coldly. This family would never let them go. The people in the yard stopped talking when they heard Su Huiguo's words, thinking that if today's incident had happened to them so. What do? Quickly, the police arrived here, and after seeing them, Su Huiguo explained in detail what happened today. However, the police were about to speak, but Yi Zhonghai quickly said. Police comrades, this is not the case. The Jia family is also out of kindness. After all, Su Huiguo was seriously ill before, so we can't help him for nothing. So I just want to take something as compensation. Yi Zhonghai thought of something and immediately said. Yeah. Police comrade, I just came to buy their things because I saw them pitifully. I'm kind-hearted. Jia Zhang's eyes lit up, kind-hearted. I think you have a malicious heart. Police officer, you see that the cabinet is brand new. They even offered 2 yuan and wanted to move it without our consent. You say, isn't this a bandit? Su Huiguo looked at the two of them coldly, while secretly sighing in his heart. Yi Zhonghai really knows how to speak and deserves to be an uncle. Su Huiguo is right, they are bandits. Su Damao on one side shouted loudly. He has long been displeased with the Jia family. Why should all the people in the yard accommodate them? What is their family? What are your abilities? Chapter 4. Jia Zhang's family taken away. You are listening at novel.full.audio. Chapter 4. Jia Zhang's family taken away. Su Damao, please shut up. Silly Zhu suddenly became angry and wanted to beat up Su Damao, but was stopped by Yi Zhonghai. The police were all here, and he actually wanted to take action. Is it impossible to seek death? Take Qinhuai RuPack, Jia Dongxu, and Jia Zhang away. The police waved their hand and made the other police officers want to arrest their entire family. Wait. Police officer, all of this was done by my mother herself, and she was the one who did it. It's not about me or my wife. If you want to catch her, you can catch her. Jia Dongxu quickly said. He doesn't want to be caught, after all, he is a person with a job. What if he gets caught in the steel rolling mill? How do others think his affairs are small? What if he loses his job? And Qinhuai RuPack is also pregnant now, and there are still a few children to take care of at home. She has been taken away, what should the family do? So if you want to catch Jia Zhang, let's catch him. However, upon hearing this, Jia Zhang suddenly became anxious. As soon as she was about to speak, she was stopped by Jia Dongxu. Mom, you also know about the situation at home. Speaking of which, this is just a small matter. If you obtain the letter of understanding, you will also be released. Upon hearing Jia Dongxu's words, Jia Zhangshi was speechless for a moment, but after thinking for a moment, she still let it go. Yeah. I see it's all done by my grandmother. Bangji didn't know when, so he ran out and shouted loudly. He had long disliked this old lady in his heart. If his parents were caught, who would take care of them and provide him with food and drink? Stick meme. Everyone is speechless. This family is really eye-opening. Other people, such as Su Damao's second uncle Liu Haizhong, also accused Jia Zhang of doing it. They are also afraid that if it were to involve them, it would be over. Take it away. Finally, Jia Zhang wanted to resist something, but her hand was handcuffed. She glared angrily at Su Huigua and was taken away. And Jia Dongxu, an old man, quickly followed suit, wanting to know how Jia Zhang was sentenced, so they left, and the others saw the situation and left here one after another. After all, the matter had already ended. What are you still doing here? Soon, there were only Su Huigua and Li Qian left here. At this moment, Li Qian also let out a long breath in her heart, and this matter was finally over. But she still seemed a bit worried. Su Huigua, what happened today? I think we all offended the people in the yard. What should we do in the future? Li Qian said. Qian, what are you worried about doing with these things? What are the people here capable of? Do you still expect them to help us? Don't think, you don't know who these people are. Su Huigua lightly patted Li Qian's shoulder and smiled, saying. At the same time, he only had time to see Li Qian. Now it seems that Li Qian is really tall, at least about 1.7 meters tall, with a melon seed face, exquisite appearance, and long legs. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any stockings. If stockings are passed on, she will definitely be a first-class beauty in the future. And such a beautiful woman is actually her own daughter.In.Law. There is no bridal chamber yet. This is really too cheap for oneself. In my past life, I only focused on research and didn't have a girlfriend at all. Now it's okay, there's no need to look. With such a beautiful wife, it's really worth traveling back here. Upon hearing this, Li Qian simply nodded lightly and asked again. Su Huigua. Have you really recovered from your illness now? After speaking, she became worried again. She didn't know if Su Huigua had forced himself to pretend, as his illness was really serious before. My illness has improved a lot. I just drank so much medicine before and felt a bit drowsy. I'm just a bit weak now, and after recovering for a while, there won't be anything else. Su Huigua explained. This can't be done without explanation. After all, I was really seriously ill before. If I were completely cured, it would be very unrealistic. That's great. Upon hearing Su Huigua's words, Li Qian immediately became excited. The long-suppressed feeling almost made her gasp for breath. So, the long-lost smile appeared on her face. Su Huigua, who was standing in front of her, was a bit stunned. His daughter.In.Law laughed and was even more beautiful than before. The heavens are really treating me well. What are you looking at? Li Qian suddenly realized that Su Huigua was watching her helplessly, which made her feel a bit embarrassed inside. Of course it depends on my beautiful daughter.In.Law. My daughter.In.Law is really good. Looking. Su Huigua smiled. Upon hearing this, Li Qian shyly lowered her head and blushed slightly. She seemed to have never heard anyone praise her good looks. Don't talk nonsense, no one says I look good. Li Qian whispered. That's because they have no vision. Su Huigua said. Really, people in this era, when it comes to those girls, they are all those who look very plump and have different aesthetic views. On the contrary, Li Qian, although tall and slender, has no excess fat all over her body, so, alright, daughter.In.Law, let me go cook now. After all, it's already afternoon now and I'm a bit hungry. Su Huigua looked at the time and found that it was already 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It was indeed time to cook. I'll go. Huigua, your body is just fine now, so it's better to take a break first. Just leave this kind of thing to me to do. After speaking, Li Qian didn't care much. She first helped Su Huigua sit down, while she walked towards the kitchen. This move warmed Su Huigua's heart once again. This daughter-in-law is really nice. It seems that I will treat her well in the future. Meanwhile, the master and others have already walked towards the courtyard, but their faces are all very solemn. Grandpa, do you think Su Hui will write a letter of understanding in Parliament? Chapter 5. Refusal to write an understanding letter. You are listening at novel.Audio. Chapter 5. Refusal to write an understanding letter. Jia Dongxu looked at an old man with some concern. If Su Huigua refused to write a letter of understanding, then Jia Zhang would definitely be sentenced. Although it has only been a month, the taste is definitely very unpleasant. Yeah. Grandpa, what should we do? Qinhuai RuPack also said. I'll go talk to him first and talk about some powerful relationships, such as the honor in our yard. I believe he will definitely compromise. If it doesn't work, we'll just double the compensation. Yi Zhonghai pondered for a moment before slowly speaking. Okay, then let's hurry back. Jia Dongxu said. He also wants to get rid of Jia Zhang's family as soon as possible. If someone else finds out that his mother is such a person, his face will also be tarnished. Soon, they returned to the courtyard. Yi Zhonghai asked Silly Zhu, Jia Dongxu, and Qinhuai RuPack to go back first, and then he went alone to find Su Huigua and had a good conversation. Yi Zhonghai went towards the direction of Su Hui's country. At this moment, Su Huigua was having dinner with Li Qian, but only a few white flour mantou, which made Su Huigua frown. This dinner is really too simple, there's no meat at all. Li Qian also noticed Su Huigua's abnormality, and her face immediately became sad. She also wants to do more to supplement Su Huigua's nutrition, but currently their family really doesn't have much money. All the money accumulated before was used to treat Su Huigua. So, Huigua, Li Qian's eyes became a bit moist. Just as she was about to say something, she was interrupted by Su Huigua. Qian, I know we really don't have any leftover food at home. Today's dinner has already used up all our savings, haven't we? Su Huigua smiled. Li Qian nodded lightly, not knowing how to live in the future. Qian, don't worry. I am much better now and can work completely, so I can go to work tomorrow. In the future, our lives will definitely be better than now. After Su Huigua finished speaking, he picked up Li Qian on one side and gently patted her back, firmly speaking. Huigua. Li Qian felt the strong shoulder of Su Huigua, and a warm current flowed through her heart. She thinks it's really great to have a man at home. I believe in. But I will also look for a job in the future to share some of your workload, so you don't have to work so hard anymore. Li Qian doesn't have any job at all now, so she felt that she had to go find it. You don't need to be in such a hurry about finding a job. I will think of a way to get you into the steel rolling mill and work. Su Huigua said solemnly. He doesn't have the ability yet, but he feels that as long as he becomes a more advanced fitter, his status will be different. And he is still very young now, just 23 years old. Really? Li Qian's eyes lit up. If she could enter the steel rolling mill to work, it would be really nice. Of course, let's eat. You've been working hard lately, eat more. After saying that, Su Huigua took a white flour mantou and put it in Li Qian's bowl. He smiled. Okay. Li Qian nodded, seeming to feel that Su Huigua was really gentle towards her. For a moment, she felt that the grievances she had suffered during this period were nothing at all. However, just as they were about to eat, the door was quickly knocked on. Bang bang. This made Su Huigua look very puzzled, so he walked over and opened the door, only to find that it was actually Yi Zhonghai. How did this old guy come? Is it for the sake of Jia Zhang's family? Sure enough. Su Huigua, I would like to discuss something with you about the Jia Zhang family. Yi Zhonghai said directly. Speak up. How many years have you been sentenced? Su Huigua's tone appeared very plain, and he didn't give any face to Yi Zhonghai at all. This made Yi Zhonghai very angry in his heart. He thinks he's at least an old man, and he doesn't respect himself at all. This kid is really despicable. But in order to plead for mercy on Jia Zhang, he could only endure it. Su Huigua, I know that what Jia and Zhang did today was indeed a bit excessive, but after all, it was just a small matter. Why do you have to act so heartless? And this is related to the honor of our courtyard house. Do you want to destroy it? If you don't get advanced next year. Yi Zhonghai said seriously. Yi Zhonghai, don't talk nonsense in front of me. Everyone came to my door to force buying and selling. If she doesn't handle it, she will definitely lose her memory. So don't use any advanced elements from the courtyard to fool me. Su Huigua said. You. Su Huigua, at least all of us are people from a courtyard house. We look up but not down. I have asked the Jia and Zhang families to apologize for this matter and compensate for some losses. Can you just write a letter of understanding? What do you think? When Yi Zhonghai saw that Su Huigua didn't pay much attention to the matter of honor, he said another way. But it was still rejected by Su Huigua. No need to. Judge as you please. If there's nothing else, don't disturb me to rest. After speaking, Su Huigua immediately closed the door, which infuriated Yi Zhonghai. He didn't expect Su Huigua to be so heartless. Damn it. Yi Zhonghai said a word and left here. Quickly, he arrived at the Jia family, and Jia Dongxu and others saw the situation and quickly asked. Yi Zhonghai. How's it going? Is he willing to write a letter of understanding? Yi Zhonghai shook his head and repeated what he had just said before leaving. Damn Su Huigua, you have ruined the reputation of our Jia family. After Yi Zhonghai left, Jia Dongxu roared angrily. At the same time, his heart immediately became worried. What if his mother thing came to the rolling mill? Qinhuai also harbored a secret hatred. It's all because of that damn Su Huigua. It's just a small matter that made such a big fuss. Chapter 6. It was a wonderful night to assess the level 6 fitter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. It was a wonderful night to assess the level 6 fitter in Qinhuai's view. Su Huigua was indeed too extreme. Everyone was neighbors, looking up but not looking down. Although it's their family's fault this time, just apologize or compensate for the loss. But he actually called the police. And now he refuses to write a letter of understanding, which is really despicable. It's all your fault, a broom. Suddenly, Jia Dongxu pointed directly at Qinhuai and cursed angrily. He felt that if he hadn't married Qinhuai himself, their family might still be doing well. Their family will no longer covet the cabinets of Su Hui's country. Jia Zhang will not be captured either. Qinhuai was speechless for a while. Can you blame yourself for this? Returning to Su Huigua's side, Huigua, how are you? Who came to see you just now? Li Qian asked in confusion. Who else can there be? It's not that old man Yi Zhonghai. He wants to come to me to write a letter of understanding, so that Jia Zhang won't be locked up. But is this possible? How could I possibly write an understanding letter? The Jia family has gone too far in their actions, so we absolutely cannot forgive them. Su Huigua said seriously. Ah. I see. Li Qian was surprised. She didn't expect that Yi Zhonghai would come to ask Su Huigua to write a letter of understanding. This is still very rare in quadrangles. She also came to the courtyard for a while, naturally knowing who this Yi Zhonghai was. He wouldn't easily ask for help, but now he's actually begging Su Huigua for the sake of the Jia family. Alright, stop talking. Wife, it's late, let's go to bed. Su Huigua looked at the sky and it seemed very late, so he said something. But after hearing Su Huigua's words, Li Qian's face immediately blushed and she lowered her head, seeming very embarrassed. After all, when it comes to their marriage, it seems like they haven't had a wedding yet. On that day, Su Huigua fell ill, so Su Huigua couldn't help but laugh at her shy appearance. The face of girls in this era is really thin, they blush easily. In an instant, a cry of surprise reminded her that Li Qian had been picked up by Su Huigua, which made her face even more rosy. My little head tightly leaned against Su Huigua's embrace soon. Su Huigua carried Li Qian into the room, and tonight was another wonderful night the next day. Su Huigua slowly opened his eyes and found that Li Qian was not by his side. This made him puzzled. Where did this little girl go? However, when he walked out, he found that breakfast had already been prepared and there seemed to be some movement in the kitchen. Su Huigua walked over to take a look and found that Li Qian actually got up early to cook and eat. I am currently cleaning, Qian, thank you for your hard work. Su Huigua walked in and gently hugged Li Qian from behind. Huigua, you're awake. Li Qian was suddenly held up and let out a scream, but it was only when she heard Su Huigua's voice that she relaxed. Su Huigua nodded. Then go eat something quickly. Otherwise, if you're late later, it won't be good. Li Qian smiled. Okay. Su Huigua went out and left after eating 2 white flour mantou. However, as soon as Su Huigua walked out, he was stopped by a voice. Hello, Su Huigua, you bastard, stop me. Upon hearing this, Su Huigua couldn't help but turn his head and look over, realizing that it was actually a foolish pillar. What is this stupid guy calling himself to do? What's up? For this foolish pillar, he has no favorable impression at all. Su Huigua, you bastard are really too cold-blooded. You should write a letter of understanding to Aunt Jia immediately. Silly Zhu looked coldly at Su Huigua. Get lost. Su Huigua coldly spat out a word. Do you want him to write a letter of understanding? How could that be possible? What are you saying, kid? You're telling me to get out of here. You're saying, be careful, I'll beat you up right now. Silly Zhu suddenly became furious. If you dare to take action, then don't think about celebrating the Chinese New Year this year. If you don't believe it, give it a try. Su Huigua said indifferently. Back then, Su Huigua's predecessor was indeed beaten by the foolish pillar. After all, this foolish big guy was the first god of war in the courtyard. But now it's different. Its predecessor couldn't compare to the current Su Huigua. You bastard. Silly Zhu couldn't bear Su Guohui's words, but he was about to take action when he was stopped by people passing by the courtyard house. Let go of me and let me teach this kid a good lesson. Silly Zhu shouted loudly. Stop it, silly pillar can't take action. At this moment, Yi Zhonghai heard the commotion and rushed over, afraid that Silly Zhu would attack Su Huigua. If we were to take action, it would be terrible. He felt that Su Huigua now seemed even more indifferent than before. Su Huigua let out a cold snort and left here directly. He has been delaying here for too long now, and if he doesn't go to the steel rolling mill, he will be late. And he hasn't been to the steel rolling mill for a long time, and I don't know what the situation is. As for Silly Zhu, he didn't bother to pay attention to him. He was a silly big guy soon. Su Huigua arrived at the steel rolling mill in the workshop where he was located, which surprised many workers. The workshop director quickly asked. Su Huigua, have you recovered from your injury? Well, it's almost done, so I came to work at the steel rolling mill today, but now I want to assess the level 6 fitter. Su Huigua smiled. What? Everyone was shocked and they heard Su Huigua's words. He was going to be assessed as a level 6 fitter. This is not a joke, is it? Although they all feel that Su Huigua has strong abilities. Su Huigua, are you joking? The workshop director frowned and said. I'm not joking, I'm going to the assessment now. After speaking, Su Huigua left here and headed towards the assessment area. For this fitter, it's really too simple. You should know that you were a super engineer in your past life, and assessing these 6 levels is not an easy task. Chapter 7. Assessment successful, slapping Jia Dongxu in the face. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7. Assessment successful, slapping Jia Dongxu in the face. However, when Su Huigua was preparing to assess the level 6 fitter, it was spread out. It's impossible not to spread it. You should know that Su Huigua is already at level 5 at a young age. The current assessment of level 6 is still very attractive to many people. Similarly, there are also some people who do not see Su Huigua's successful assessment, such as Jia Dongxu at this moment. Jia Dongxu originally wanted to go and get something, but he didn't expect to encounter Su Huigua on the way, which made him couldn't help but mock. Su Huigua, just you 6 seedling, you actually want to be assessed as a level 6 fitter. It's really beyond your ability. Jia Dongxu said. For Su Huigua, his heart was filled with resentment at the moment, because this kid refused to write a letter of forgiveness to save his mother, causing her to be locked up for a month. And it also leads to many people seeing themselves differently in the workshop. So he was full of resentment towards Su Huigua. As long as there is an opportunity to mock him, he will definitely not miss it. It's none of your business. You better think about how to assess a level 2 fitter. Idiot. After speaking, Su Huigua wanted to leave here, which made Jia Dongxu grit his teeth in anger. In fact, he was very jealous of Su Huigua in his heart. You should know that the two of them entered the steel rolling mill together before, but they didn't expect that this kid was so skilled that he could become a level 5 fitter in just a few years. He is now preparing to take the EP1-10 exam, which fills his heart with jealousy. Su Huigua, if you pass the assessment today, I will give you 3 yuan. If you fail the assessment, then give me 3 yuan. How about that? Jia Dongxu roared angrily. 3 yuan. Are you sending beggars? 30 yuan, how about that? Su Huigua sneered at this fool. He was a super engineer in his past life, and he actually wanted to tell himself this. Isn't it self-destructive? Isn't this a free gift for oneself to spend? What? 30 yuan. Jia Dongxu was shocked. He had already received almost a month's salary. What's going on? I dare not. Su Huigua looked at Jia Dongxu disdainfully. Dongxu, promise him. At this moment, Yi Zhonghai hurriedly walked over and heard what the two of them had just said. Moreover, Yi Zhonghai thought of Su Huigua's attitude towards him, which made him have no favorable impression of Su Huigua at all. So, he must be standing on Jia Dongxu's side. Grandpa. Jia Dongxu, who was originally hesitant, nodded when he saw an old man supporting him. Everyone. You all heard it too. Su Huigua looked at the few colleagues next to him and couldn't help but smile. Su Huigua, we have all heard that and we all support you. Go. A few colleagues couldn't help but shout loudly. These are all colleagues who have a good relationship with Su Huigua, so naturally they do not support Su Huigua. Su Huigua glanced at Jia Dongxu and Yi Zhonghai and left here. After Su Huigua left, Jia Dongxu still asked a little uneasy. Grandpa, do you think Su Huigua can pass the assessment? Don't worry. This kid is definitely not worth the assessment. He has been sick for so long, and his skills should have declined. Now that he just arrived at work, should he go for the assessment immediately? Do you think he can pass? Yi Zhonghai, just give up. He felt that if Su Huigua had not been seriously ill before and had been assessed, it would have been normal, but now okay. Jia Dongxu nodded. But at this moment, Yi Zhonghai looked at Jia Dongxu and said. Dongxu, I've been teaching you locksmith skills for so long. Why don't you go and assess level 2? Upon hearing this, Jia Dongxu's face became a bit awkward. He also wanted to. But he dare not, and he also slacks off on his own, so, Grandpa, I will work hard. Jia Dongxu quickly said. He still listens to Yi Zhonghai very much, after all, he is covering himself up. Otherwise, working in a steel rolling mill would definitely be very uncomfortable. 2 hours have passed. Yi Zhonghai, he definitely can't make it. Look, he's been so long and hasn't come out yet. He must have failed and dare not come out. Jia Dongxu excitedly said. It's very likely. Yi Zhonghai nodded and said that the assessment of level 6 should not take so long, so he also felt that Su Huiguo was definitely a failure. However, at this moment, a broadcast quickly rang out. Notice. Everyone is listening. Comrade Su Huiguo from our steel rolling plant, after unremitting efforts, was successfully promoted to level 6 fitter in this assessment. Please learn more from Su Huiguo and strive to make more contributions to the country. This notice sounded 3 times in a row, shocking many people. I heard that Su Huiguo is seriously ill, isn't he? How did he get assessed now? And he was promoted successfully after being assessed once. You don't know, Su Huiguo just arrived today and immediately went for an assessment. What? This is so amazing. Many people are discussing it one after another, and more people seem very jealous. After all, those who know Su Huiguo know that Su Huiguo is very young. Impossible, how could he succeed? Upon hearing this news, Jia Dongxu's whole body was not doing well, which means that Su Huiguo is now a level 6 fitter. So isn't the gap between myself and him getting bigger and bigger? Even Yi Zhonghai's face darkened, and he didn't expect Su Huiguo to really succeed at this age. At this moment, the figure of Su Huiguo appeared before their eyes. Yi Zhonghai, Jia Dongxu, I have passed the assessment, so why don't you give me the 30 yuan first? You. Jia Dongxu's face looked even worse, and he was also very frustrated. Why did he say this to Su Huiguo? Causing oneself to waste so much money in vain. Su Huiguo, let's just treat this matter as a joke. You have successfully been promoted to level 6 as a fitter, so don't worry so much. Chapter 8. Yen Bugui wants to calculate. You are listening at novel.Audio. Chapter 8. Yen Bugui wants to calculate. Dream Yi Zhonghai doesn't want so much money either. And it's still for this kid. Forget it. That's impossible. Do you want to default on your debts? Su Huiguo looked at the two of them indifferently, but they were thinking too beautifully. If they failed their assessment, they didn't know what tone to use to humiliate themselves. So, today we must make them bleed profusely. At this point Su Huiguo's colleagues all appeared here, their eyes disdainfully looking at the two of them. This made Jia Dongxu and Yi Zhonghai's faces turn iron black. They didn't mean they didn't have 30 yuan, but they were unwilling to give it to Su Huiguo for nothing. This is 30 yuan. Dongxu, let's go. After all, Yi Zhonghai is a person with face in the steel rolling mill. He is an 8th level fitter, so he can't lose face at all. And this is only 30 yuan, which is nothing to him at all. Mr. Yi is indeed generous. He gave me 30 yuan as soon as he said he would. Tonight, I should buy more vegetables to celebrate. Colleagues, I'll treat you to lunch later. Su Huiguo smiled and said. After hearing this, the two of them became even more uncomfortable, but everyone else laughed when they heard Su Huiguo's words. This guy is really interesting. It's not in vain that they helped Su Huiguo testify. At this moment, after leaving with Yi Zhonghai, Jia Dongxu finally made up his mind and then solemnly said to Yi Zhonghai. Grandpa, please teach me well once. In a month, I will definitely be able to successfully assess the 2nd level fitter. Upon hearing these words, Yi Zhonghai was immediately surprised. But seeing Jia Dongxu so serious made him feel very pleased in his heart. This Jia Dongxu has finally gained enlightenment. It's time to finish work soon. Many people from the steel rolling mill left here one after another, and after Su Huiguo bought groceries, he walked back to the entrance of the courtyard. The three masters who were watering the flowers laughed when they saw Su Huiguo. Su Huiguo, you are really amazing. The injury just healed and it wasn't long before you passed the level 6 fitter assessment. How about we have a good drink tonight? I have some good wine at home. When Su Huiguo went to buy groceries, the news of his successful assessment spread to the courtyard. So many people know. And when the third master saw that Su Huiguo had bought so many vegetables, he suddenly became a bit greedy. Many people in this era are very poor. So when he saw the vegetables bought by Su Huiguo, his eyes lit up and he felt a little cautious inside. You should know that in the past, Su Huiguo would always be on the same table after successful assessments, so he still looked at Su Huiguo with great anticipation. No, I can't. Su Huiguo shook his head and walked inside. For what idea Yan Bugui wanted to have, he naturally knew very well in his heart. Isn't it just his intention to pursue his own flesh? Does he still think he's the same as before? So, his idea is destined to fall through. Hey. Yan Bugui watched as Su Huiguo was about to leave, which made him scream again. But Su Huiguo ignored him at all. This made him feel very depressed. Humph. What good pride is there? It's just a little bit of meat, I don't mind. Yan Bugui looked at Su Huiguo with disdain in his eyes, but he still had a strong desire in his heart. Qinhuai, who was washing clothes, also saw Su Huiguo. She watched as Su Huiguo carried so many dishes and walked towards his home. This made her drool all over her face. She also fantasized that Su Huiguo could give her family some. You know, in the past, when Su Huiguo bought a little more, he would share it with their family. But she looked at Su Huiguo without even looking at herself, which made her curse inwardly. Isn't it just a successful assessment? What's so unusual about it? My family's Dongxu will also be assessed as a level 2 student in a while. We will also celebrate and make him envious. Qinhuai thought in her heart. Soon, Su Huiguo returned to his home and found Li Qian busy in the kitchen, but there were only 3 or 4 white flour mantou on the table. There is at most 1 bowl of clear soup left. This made Su Huiguo sigh in his heart. It was really difficult for Li Qian. Chan, I'm back. Su Huiguo called out when he arrived at the dining table. Li Qian quickly poked her head out and found that Su Huiguo had returned, which made her excited. But when she saw that Su Huiguo had actually bought so many vegetables, this surprised her. Huiguo, how did you buy so many dishes? Where did you get the money from? Li Qian asked. Of course, this money was given by someone else. Su Huiguo smiled and immediately revealed everything about today, which further shocked Li Qian. What? Jia Dongxu lost you 30 yuan. And you have already passed the level 6 fitter assessment. Upon hearing this, Su Huiguo nodded. Huiguo, you are really amazing. Li Qian said, and as she spoke, her eyes turned red. The family had finally improved, and she didn't know how long she had been waiting. It's really good to have a man at home. It's nothing, our good days will soon come, and you won't be living the kind of poverty you used to be. In the future, I will treat you very well and make you the happiest woman in the world. Su Huiguo looked at Li Qian seriously. This girl is really nice, and he felt that he must treat her well. Huiguo. Upon hearing Su Huiguo's words, Li Qian was truly moved. Suddenly, a sense of happiness spread throughout her entire being. Tears also flowed down her face, and her persistence finally came through. All right, silly girl, why are you crying? Let's go cook together. We must celebrate tonight. Chapter 9. Jia Dongxu to assess second-level fitters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 9. Jia Dongxu to assess second-level fitters, great. Li Qian appeared very happy upon hearing Su Huigua's words. Su Huigua seems to have become more considerate of himself, which is a good thing. Immediately, the two of them walked into the kitchen, dividing their work and cooperating, and Su Huigua kept telling some jokes. This fills the kitchen with laughter and warmth. And the dishes made are quite fragrant, filling the entire courtyard. Home in the Bangs, Lao Lu, Su Huigua is making braised pork belly again. It's really extravagant. By the way, has he really been promoted to level 6 as a fitter? This kid is amazing. The second aunt looked at the Bangs in surprise. Not bad, indeed the assessment was successful. I didn't expect him to be so severe. He just recovered from this illness and... The Bangs were filled with envy and jealousy. You should know that when I was assessing level 6, I don't know how much time I spent, at least more than 10 years. Just barely passed the level. But this kid, being so young and successful in the assessment, is truly enviable. I'm really lucky. But this guy, who just succeeded in the assessment, actually bought so many dishes and cooked braised pork belly. It's really a luxury for his wife. Second aunt also saw that Su Huigua had bought a lot of vegetables. What's the solution? This kid has successfully been promoted now, so his monthly salary is at least around 70 yuan. As I said, they just live together. Liu Haizhong shook his head, his eyes filled with envy. You should know that although he is a level 7 fitter, he dare not spend money recklessly like Su Huigua. After all, there are so many people in his family who need to eat. Upon hearing what Liu Haizhong said, Aunt Air also felt a bit envious and jealous at Yi Zhonghai's home. Lao Yi, Su Huigua is really amazing. He is a young level 6 fitter, and I don't know how many times more powerful he is than Jia Dongxu. Upon hearing this news, a middle-aged woman turned her head and said to Yi Zhonghai. What's so impressive? This kid is not human at all, not as good as Jia Dongxu. At least his attitude towards himself is still very good. I said, I will teach Jia Dongxu well this month, and he will definitely pass the second-level assessment. At that time, he will definitely be very grateful to us and will definitely provide us with retirement. Yi Zhonghai frowned and said. He is still very confident in Jia Dongxu because he seems to see that Jia Dongxu has finally taken things seriously, which makes him feel very pleased. Is Jia Dongxu okay? And he still doesn't quite believe it. She also knows who Jia Dongxu is, after all, it has been so many years. In fact, in her heart, the best person to provide them with retirement is Su Huigua. This young man seems to be very down-to-earth in his work. Not like Jia Dongxu, who is so fluffy and restless. However, Yi Zhonghai has said so, and she can never change anything at Jia's house. The goddamn Su Huigua went to buy braised pork belly with the money he won tonight, but he didn't send any to our house. It's really despicable. Jia Dongxu was quite angry today. He didn't expect that Su Huigua had really passed the assessment, and he also lost 30 yuan, although it wasn't the money he gave. But in my heart, I am still angry. This is a month's salary. Su Huigua, please wait for me. Starting from today, I must study hard and I will definitely be able to pass the second-level assessment next month. Jia Dongxu let out a roar. Dongxu, I believe you can do it. Qinhuai kept cheering and encouraging on one side, thinking that if Jia Dongxu passed the assessment, their family would be much better. Maybe I can also eat meat myself, but that's not necessarily true. Okay, Ru, you should strive to have a boy as well. You're so angry with Su Huigua. Jia Dongxu turned his head to look at Qinhuai and said. I'll try my best. Upon hearing this, Qinhuai could only say these few words. Who can guarantee the birth of a boy or a girl? Alright, let's have dinner. Stick meme, don't look outside either. Once I pass the assessment, I will buy you meat to eat. Jia Dongxu said. Although Bataji was very drooling, he could only nod helplessly upon hearing Jia Dongxu's words. Quickly, a month passed in the blink of an eye. Jia Dongxu has been working hard a little during this period. He worked harder than before, but after learning some skills, he can be said to be quite proud. It seems that the temperament of an engineer is not enough for him. This day, Qinhuai Mom should be released from prison today. You go pick her up and wait for my good news tonight. I'll go for the assessment today. Jia Dongxu confidently said. Okay. Qinhuai nodded and added a few sticks of incense to Jia Dongxu, praying that he could pass the assessment quickly. Jia Dongxu came out of his own home and happened to see Su Huigua and Li Qian. Su Huigua, I'm going to assess the second-level fitter today. Just wait and see. Jia Dongxu said disdainfully. Is that right? Su Huigua looked at this arrogant guy indifferently and couldn't help but sneer, can even this kid pass the assessment? Don't believe it, wait and see. Not bad, Dongxu will definitely succeed in the assessment. Let's go. Yi Zhonghai said lightly. Because he put a lot of effort into teaching Jia Dongxu this month, he still has some confidence in him. So Jia Dongxu and Yi Zhonghai strode out. After he left, Su Huigua just sneered and didn't care at all. Even if he passed the assessment, he was just a second-level fitter. What's so proud of him? At this moment, Li Qian suddenly looked at Su Huigua. Huigua, can I really? Last night, Su Huigua told her that he had found some connections and asked her to work as a broadcaster at a steel rolling mill. Although I am a temporary worker, this is still work, it's better than doing nothing at home. Don't worry. You definitely have no problem, let's go. Su Huigua patted her shoulder and smiled. He is now a level 6 fitter, and he is still so young, so those people still give themselves a little face. Let's go too. Okay. Upon hearing Su Huigua's words, Li Qian could only nod and follow him out. Chapter 10. Jia Zhang's release from prison and Jia Dongxu's accident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Jia Zhang's release from prison and Jia Dongxu's accident. Rolling mill. After Su Huigua and Li Qian arrived at the steel rolling mill, he accompanied Li Qian for the interview. After all, it was a matter related to his wife. He has to accompany me no matter what. However, when Li Qian went for the interview inside, everything went smoothly, and with Li Qian's beauty, she gave a particularly good impression. So, in less than half an hour, Li Qian also came out. How is it? Su Huigua couldn't help but smile as he looked at Li Qian with a smile on her face. Yes, I have been interviewed. I am now considered a temporary worker here, and they have said that as long as I work well, becoming a regular worker is only a matter of time. Li Qian laughed. Okay, my wife is amazing. Let's go back tonight to celebrate. Now you go to work first. I also have to go to work. After Su Huigua finished speaking, he separated from her. After all, he also needs to work, and staying outside for too long is not very good, so he finished speaking and returned to his workshop to start the day's work. And Li Qian also came to the studio and started her work. Jia Dongxu originally wanted to go for the assessment this morning, but he was still a bit worried, so he consulted Yi Zhonghai for another morning. He didn't go to the assessment until the afternoon. Qinhuai has already taken Jia Zhang back to the courtyard. She has been in prison for a month and can be said to have suffered a lot. In prison, life is quite difficult, not only in terms of food and drink, but also in terms of work. So, now she's completely slimmer than before. You should know that she used to be fat-headed and big-eared. However, at this moment, she seems to have become even more sharp and sarcastic, with a malicious appearance. Qinhuai Now go and buy a pound of pork. I'm going to have braised pork belly tonight. Do you hear me? When Jia Zhang saw Qinhuai coming to pick her up, she immediately said loudly. Grandma, where do we have any money left in our family now? I'm saying, this month, our family doesn't even have meat tickets. Where do you want me to buy them? Qinhuai said helplessly. After speaking, she looked helplessly at Jia Zhang. She knew that her mother-in-law should have money, and perhaps this meatball should also be there. Hey, what are you looking at? Where am I rich? Jia Zhang knew what Qinhuai was thinking when she saw her appearance. She belongs to the kind of person who only enters but cannot leave. Even if it's a penny, she won't take it out. Grandma, let's go back first. Qinhuai sighed. She knew she couldn't get any money from Jia Zhang's pocket, so she should go back first. Humph. What a useless thing. Jia Zhang angrily cursed before walking towards the courtyard. However, as soon as Jia Zhang was about to leave, she was stopped by Qinhuai. Grandma, Jia Dongxu has learned a lot of skills from Yi Zhonghai this month. He went to the assessment today and I believe he can definitely pass it. By then, our lives should improve. Qinhuai smiled. What? It's good, my son is good. Jia Zhang was taken aback for a moment, and then became excited. Her good son finally had an idea. If he passed the assessment, he would add at least 10 yuan a month, which is already a considerable amount. Let's go back and wait for news about my good son. After speaking, Jia Zhang hurriedly walked back. Quickly, the two of them returned to the courtyard and saw an elderly woman and others chatting, but she didn't say hello to them. After all, when she was arrested, none of them helped her speak. It wasn't until the two of them walked back to their own home, with a woman waiting for them, that discussions began to erupt. Did Jia Zhang actually come back? A month has passed so quickly. It seems that our yard may not be calm anymore. It's very likely that as long as she comes back, our yard will definitely be very lively. It's time to finish work soon. Su Huigua and Li Qian happily walked out of the steel rolling mill, and after buying groceries, they returned to the courtyard. However, the matter of Li Qianqing being a temporary worker was still brought to the courtyard. What? Li Qian is also a worker in a steel rolling mill. Yes, I saw with my own eyes that she is now a broadcaster at our steel rolling plant. Although she is temporary, as long as she passes the assessment, she can also become a formal worker. What an envy. Some people in the yard started discussing one after another. Many people looked at the figures of Su Huigua and Li Qian walking home, each envious and envious. If that were the case, would their family just be better off? Su Huigua is a level 6 fitter, and his wife is also a broadcaster. Jia Zhang and Qinhuai were originally sitting in the yard waiting to add something, so they also heard their voices of discussion, which made Jia Zhang very angry. This broom star can even become a temporary worker in a steel rolling mill, it's really hard to see. Jia Zhang angrily cursed. Qinhuai was also shocked. She didn't expect even Li Qian to be a temporary worker. This is really unbelievable. Qinhuai, take a look, take a look. Jia Zhang cursed a few words before turning to look at Qinhuai. She has been married into their family for several years, and now she is still at home all day. Just knowing that making a matchbox is useless. Qinhuai's face was speechless. What could she do? She was from the countryside, while Li Qian was a down-to-earth urban resident who was knowledgeable and polite. Can she match it? Meanwhile, Qinhuai had already angrily scolded Li Qian hundreds of times in her heart, and she was also envious and jealous. However, at this moment a worker from a steel rolling mill panicked and ran back to the courtyard, running towards Jia Zhang and Qinhuai who were sitting at their doorstep. Are you Jia Dongxu's family members? He said. We are, what's up? Qinhuai RuPack asked in confusion. That's all right, hurry up. Your Jia Dongxu has had an accident and is currently receiving treatment in the hospital. Go and take a look.